Yes, folks, welcome to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, and I hope you're sitting comfortably because now it is time to get into the G.I. Joe Classified Series PulseCon 2023 Pipeline Reveals. Yes, that's right, I'm back once again with my finger firmly on the pulse. See what I did there? And I'm going to take a look at the digital render reveals that the G.I. Joe Classified Series team shared on the PulseCon 2023 stream. That's right, I'm going to be talking about hot news that was revealed to us like 5 or 6 days ago now. Because I'm that on it. But all joking aside, I think regular viewers around these parts will know that I like to be considered in my thoughts wherever possible and go away and have a think about things before I start tendering my review conversations on camera with you fine members of the viewing community here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. And I have thoughts. I have notes that I'm going to share with you today. So get settled in, get comfy, maybe make a brew or something. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about the pipeline reveals from the PulseCon 2023. It's exciting. Okay, so before I get into the digital render reveals, I wanted to take a moment to talk about these guys here, the G.I. Joe Classified Series design team that was on camera on the day, Tony, Lenny, and Emily. Because, frankly, and I don't think this could be disputed, there was no other portion of the stream by any of the other product design stroke marketing teams anywhere near as good as what these guys had to offer. In terms of the product alone, but I think it is very clear that there is a joy and a passion over and above anything we see from anyone else in Hasbro for the IP. And they just sell it so well every time they get on camera. So a moment's pause to say a massive thank you to Lenny, Emily, and Tony there. Not only for just the quality of the product that's coming out. G.I. Joe Classified Series is undoubtedly my favourite line at this moment in time. But because they just exude, I just recognise them as fans too. Proper fans. Like me, I relate to them, and I'm really appreciative for all the energy and joy and dynamic that they bring to what they are doing with G.I. Joe Classified, and it is evident. It was just exuding off the screen, and I don't think it was an accident that they were the last segment in the PulseCon 2023 stream. G.I. Joe Classified Series was put at the back end, so it had a big quality finish. So, guys, I know you're watching, you're avid viewers of the channel. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate what you are doing. Anyway, let's properly start by talking about the name-only reveals that the team proffered up in their section of the stream. First on the list was Night Creeper. Not an unexpected figure. Cool, yeah, fine. If I was a betting man, I imagine that when we do finally see digital render reveals of this character, it's going to be the purple with the grey camo pants and the shiny metal breastplate, because they've been drawing very heavily from, you know, the kind of vintage nostalgia inspiration with figures of late. Cool, another ninja, start continuing to flesh out that little section of the intellectual property there. I know there's folks who would be very keen to see a Night Creeper, so sit tight. Let's keep us fingers crossed that one's going to be a good one. Next one's interesting. They named the ferret. They mentioned the ferret, which I'm curious about. No reference, at least to my notes that I took while I was watching the stream, as to whether that was going to come with a figure, with a character. I know on the original box, I think it was, Storm Shadow? To Google. It was Storm Shadow on the box with Firefly as well. I've just had a little peek on Google. So, yeah, interesting. Although, if memory serves me correctly, you just got the ferret. You didn't get a character in the box with the bike, with the quad bike. So it'll be interesting to see whether they do put a figure in with it and who that figure might be. Whether it will be a release like the Duke and Ram or Televiper and Trouble Bubble, etc., etc. So curious to see what the script is with that. But vehicles are popular. Retail vehicles are especially popular, and I think there's a lot of fans in the community who will be excited by the ferret coming down the pipeline. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens with that one. Oh, well, now that's interesting. Hang on a minute. There's actually a ferret character. Who's this guy? Iron Grenadier Demon Driver? Huh. That's interesting, folks, isn't it? So my head immediately went to the quad bike ferret, but this dude exists. Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much, yojo.com, for filling in my knowledge gap there. Is this what they're going to be releasing? Huh. Let me know down below. Do you think they're going to be doing the quad bike, or do you think it's going to be this guy? I don't know. Did they say? Did I miss that? I'm going to have to rewatch the stream now. Then they mentioned Norgahide, which, yeah, great. Building the Dreadnoks little section of the IP there. I'm very pleased with that. I love the Dreadnoks. They're just so swampy and punky, aren't they? They're amazing. The suggestion was, there were hints dropped, there was Norgahide and friends. Norgahide has a little kind of boar pet companion thing, so I suspect that was in the mix there, although the use of the term friends indicating multiple is interesting. Multipack maybe with, who are we waiting for, like Thrasher or Monkey Wrench or Road Pig, perhaps. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see. They're certainly not shying away from 2-packs and triple packs right now, are they? So yeah, that'd be great if you could just sort of like really finish off your, or further complete your Dreadnought collection with a single box purchase like that. Although that will be more pressure on the old budget. In any case, Norgahide's cool, more great moustache work for the G.I. Joe Classified series line. Look forward to seeing what they've got on that front. Then they named Metalhead next, but I'll come back to that one a little bit later, because they moved into a section of retro cardback figures they announced, and Emily said that, oh yeah, we're returning to the retro cardback, and we've heard what you said. We're going to get you some really great, solid, thick card back for those figures. That's fine. I was not troubled by the flimsy card back on the retro one, but I know the MIBs were. But they named Beachhead, the Cobra Eel, and the Cobra Snow Serpent. And honestly, I'm not fully sure how I feel about those retro card back characters being named. It's a funny one. I was talking about it on my channel with regular viewer Flavel. Hello, Flavel. And I think the Snow Serpent sort of jabs a little bit, because I've just recently picked up the deluxe, do they call it the deluxe? The deluxe edition Snow Serpent, and threw in a load of stuff that I just kind of then, once I had it in hand, I felt it was a bit superfluous. So a retro version that will be a more like in line with the mainline price and probably less gear would have appealed. But hey, that's the way it goes, you know. It's the Hasbro way. Repaints, re-releases, and so on and so forth. I'm curious about Beachhead, especially after seeing some of the other retro characters they've shown us, which I'll come to later in the video. More troop builders with the eel and Snow Serpent's never a bad thing, especially with the challenges that folks have found trying to get their hands on an eel. So I'd be interested to see how much the design would change. I'd be curious to see. The eel is already pretty, retro inspired, so time will tell. But yeah, more retro cardbacks on the way, folks. Okay, now on to the show and tell bit with the digital render reveals they gave us on the day. And this was very exciting. Lots of great stuff in here. Really got the juices flowing and got the giddy man-child excited in Chris, because just tons of stuff that really, I don't know, I'm just going to be skint. I'm just going to be atrociously skint. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. But I'll have plenty of toys to play with on the living room carpet. So first out the gate, they got kicked off with Big Boa. Look at this guy. Amazing. I was never the biggest fan of Big Boa back in the day. There was just something about him that, I don't know, just couldn't get on board with, or the way he looked was just too far out there for me. But you know what? I've said this on the channel before now. In my older age, I've become a lot more enamoured with the more idiosyncratic out there characters, the more wacky G.I. Joe folks, and I kind of like this guy. The team were very pleased with themselves on stream, pointing out that they've now broken the barrier of the sculpted nipples. Very pleased with themselves. So there you go. Hot news. The nipples have been released in G.I. Joe Classified series. Fine, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I like the idea of the head swap. I don't know or recall if he was ever seen without his helmet on. In the comic book, I would suspect that would have happened. But I like this head sculpt, all beat up and with a tooth missing and a black eye, and that might be some great sort of photo diorama possibilities with the beat up Chuckles, with the knuckle dusters. I reckon you could do stuff with that. The blood on the sparring wrapped hands in the hand swaps there also look great. Yeah, just overall a good package. Got the weights, the 90-pounders there, although interestingly enough, they've not put a freestanding punching bag in, have they? Which the original vintage figure had. So there'll be a reason or a choice they've made there. But yeah, I think I'm going to be going in on this guy. I'm kind of looking at the digital render. I'm quite charmed by it, to be honest. Then they showed us this. Airborne, awesome. A much wanted figure across the community, or at least to my knowledge, from what I've seen folks talking about in the forums and chat rooms and whatnot. Great to see a figure with more head swaps and more hand swaps really into that. This has been on my G.I. Joe Classified series wishlist for a little while now, and it's coming to fruition. So that's great, and yet more evidence that Lenny is watching my vids. How you doing, Lenny? Love you, pal. Obviously, yet more classified figures that are drawing heavily inspired by the vintage figure. As you can tell by the colour scheme there with the blue chest piece, the blue vest. Although Tony did mention on the stream, I caught him to sort of, he said it very quickly, but it's obviously vintage inspired with an updated look, and he mentioned it's not as gaudy in this scale, but I still like it. I love that blue. You know, I'm a big fan of the blue. They also mentioned he'd arrived before the Dragonfly. He's obviously got great synergy there with an aircraft model, so I get that. I've not gone in on the Dragonfly, but those who have, I could see being pleased with that. Awesome figure to be hanging off your Dragonfly legs there. They also mentioned the night vision optic clips to the front of the helmet, much needed. I think there some of the kind of rubbery pieces to hold accessories of that nature on the heads have just been a bit not quite there in the implementation of late. So really pleased to see that, and these kind of little tiny innovations that are going to improve our man-child play experience. The weapon selection is heavy reuse, and this is becoming a bit of a trend now. And you'll see that trend continue through the rest of the digital renders that I'll be discussing coming up. So it is becoming a bit of a trend. I'm not that bothered by it, I don't think. When I see some of the guns that we've had of late that are really wibbly wobbly gummy weapons and they're reusing them, I'm just a bit like, oh god, I hope you've at least improved the plastic that you're choosing to use for them. If you're going to reuse them, at least give us a better quality. Even if you're not going to give us something new. So I'm not so bothered by it, but it is now becoming a firmer repeating trend, and you can see that through these reveals. And I don't know, they didn't mention it, although they did circle back around to the shovel with another character later on. On the backpack, you can see the painted shovel there, but is it removable? They never mentioned it. I'd be curious if it is. I'd be very happy if it is. But I clocked that. So yeah, overall, good looking figure. I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering Airborne. It's Airborne, isn't it? I love the colour scheme. Yeah, everything's adding up. This guy's looking hot. Then it was on to fan favourite, Quick Kick. And this is going to be pleasing many people across the community, I imagine, because Quick Kick is an incredibly popular character. I've got fond memories of this guy. There was some stories in the Marvel UK Action Force print run where Quick Kick was the central character, and he featured very heavily in a number of those that we had here in the UK. So I've got very fond memories of Quick Kick. Loving the hand swaps and the head swap again. The head swap with the more kind of dynamic flowing hair thing going on because he's in action. Is great to see, very pleased, and if it comes to life the way the digital render looks, then I'm going to be a very happy chappy. They mentioned that they've kind of followed that very classic sort of classified approach where they've sort of modernised and updated the look and feel of the character, but still drawing heavily on the vintage inspiration. And they particularly referenced the fact that his pants, while he's got the black trousers that he had back in the day, they've put a kind of ornamental wind design into the trousers just to give it a splash of colour and a bit of life. And I like that. That's classified at its absolute best. So if it's implemented well and looks good, that'll be a really nice touch with the figure. They mentioned that the storage for all the weapons, so his nunchucks and his swords, will have somewhere to go. And a little Easter egg. They do love their Easter eggs over at the G.I. Joe Classified Series team with the Fudgy Bar, making reference to the fact that he was the Fudgy Bar stuntman for the advertising campaign. So yeah, all round great packaging, quick kit, good looking figure, loads of accessories, a little bit of world building fun. I'm gonna have to pre-order this one too. Mercy, mercy. That's my wallet crying. The next reveal was the Techno Viper, and this came as no surprise to anyone. We'd already seen a digital render reveal of the Techno Viper with the SMS missile system in the 788 Fire Team colours, so a vintage-inspired retro version in the purple. I don't think was a surprise to anyone at all. The fact that this guy's coming along, though, has taken the SMS package off the list for me. I think I will not be picking that one up and pre-ordering this one instead. I just prefer the more retro-inspired design, and I'm running out of space for things that big chunky things. And I'm not really into the Fire Team colour scheme, if I'm being honest, the Histank Fire Team colour scheme. So yeah, loving the vintage inspired colour scheme. What a purple. I love purple. It's up there with blue for me. When I first saw this render, I thought the digital display that Lenny was talking about that fits on his arm on the kind of low-res version they were using on the live stream was like an MS Paint error. Like they'd realised they were showing something they shouldn't do, and they'd gone in with MS Paint and coloured over the top to disguise it. But no, it's the little arm hollow display thing that the Techno Viper's going to use. Yeah, it's another troop builder. It's a classic character. It's a classic Cobra villain trooper. So I'm going in on this for sure. And yeah, another colour to add to the ever-growing extreme palette of the Cobra side of the shelf. Oh yeah, yes please. Then they gave one to us for the DIC fans, and it was this guy, Metalhead. Now, I've already alluded to him a bit earlier on, because in the name-only reveals, they said Metalhead, and then 10 minutes later, they were showing us Metalhead. So it wasn't a name-only reveal, it was a digital render reveal. I think somebody made a bit of a boo-boo when they were prepping up their scripts for the stream, but that's okay, I forgive you, because if that's the type of mistake you're going to make, where you're showing us more, not less, then I'll go for it. But yeah, a lot going on here, like proper wow factor with this guy. Certainly very popular with the DIC cartoon fans. He was a central, regular villain in those. I'm not a DIC guy, but I can definitely appreciate a good figure sculpt when I see one, and this guy looks exciting. Just tons of man-child play opportunities with this bloke, so bring it on. I love the head sculpt. I love the helmet that they've added. It's not the classic helmet. The vintage 90s version of Metalhead had a kind of cutaway at the front, but Lenny mentioned on the stream that they added a blast shield because, it makes sense when you're firing rockets from just over your shoulders. But also they wanted to put a little more of a more heavy metal vibe to the guy. And I'm in for that, because that helmet looks fun, looks menacing. I think it's going to look excellent in the general classified villain oeuvre on the shelf. But he's got all the classic gear that the character came with his thigh-mounted rockets and his shoulder-mounted rockets and all that. So that's great for the classic fans of the character. On the G.I. Joe Classified Discord that I belong to, there was a little bit of conversation around the thigh pegs, a bit of concern as to whether that was going to be a bit of an obstacle to enjoyment of the figure, or a risk, a potential break area. So we'll have to see. Hopefully the classified team have anticipated that and given us a nice sturdy bit of peg kit. What it also means is that he's going to look a little unusual when you're not using the thigh-mounted rockets, which I can see myself wanting to do. I can see myself wanting to strip the gear off and doing something without that on. But, in the head canon, it makes sense that if he's going to have thigh-mounted rockets, there's the thing that he attaches them to. So I'm hoping the sculpt around the leg there makes sense. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering this guy too, because I think he looks awesome. The paint applications on the visor, if they come that neat and tidy, and he's a colourful character, he's another wacky, idiosyncratic one. Yeah, he's got everything I'm looking for, so bring it on, Metalhead. Then it was on to Mutt and Junkyard, which we knew about. We knew about this because at San Diego Comic-Con, they slipped Mutt and Junkyard into the glass cabinet. Lenny even said on the PulseCon stream, I got a bit overexcited. I wanted to show him off. And do you know what, Lenny? I'd be overexcited too. I'd be showing him off as well. I hear you. I hear you, brother, on that one. So, yeah, we knew this was coming. No surprises. What that does mean, though, is if you go back and take a look at the photos of the San Diego Comic-Con reveal, this digital render is a solid, accurate reflection of what we're going to be getting in hand. So I'm pleased with that. There really is a lot to love here. The head swaps on Junkyard are great. Got the good boy look and the more aggressive look. And then I'm loving how Mutt's face is matching up, the old saying that the dogs and the masters look alike, and he's growling just as aggressively as Junkyard is. I also like the idea they put a muzzle in and goggles and stuff and sunglasses for Mutt 2, which is a great little touch, the helmet. So lots of customization and different kind of playability there. All the hand swaps, as Lenny described on the stream, to indicate the hand gestures, the dog command hand gestures that will be used between the pair to communicate with one another. So yeah, altogether really good. More weaponry use, which I mentioned earlier, but that is what it is. But great storytelling, a great sort of narrative element to the man-child playtime there. So really into this, I can definitely see myself picking up a Mutt and Junkyard for sure. So that was kind of mainline releases, but the team then moved into showing us some digital render reveals for the retro cardback line, and they started with this lady here, Scarlet. Now, I am super excited about this one because I came into G.I. Joe Classified series just a wee touch late. I joined around, what was my first figure? Major Blood and Zartan were around my first figures, and I'd missed Scarlet, I'd missed Duke, I was struggling to get some of the Cobra Island guys, but also, to be brutally honest, I didn't like the Scarlet design. I was not into it at all. While I am an appreciator of that fine tightrope that they walk at Classified, where they're balancing this kind of modernized, contemporary, updated look and feel with the vintage design, and I'm a fan, and I think they walk that tightrope really, really well. I wasn't into Scarlet. I really wasn't into Scarlet. But that was fine because I'd missed her and I was struggling to get hold of one. And then a couple came up for cheap and I was like, nah, I'll give it a miss, But this one looks amazing. So very excited to see a retro cardback release. Really interested to see that it's a kind of whole new look and design. They're using the Glenda mold to put it together, which many of us speculated at the time was the direction this was going in, using the Glenda book to put a Scarlet together. So that's all good and fine. Lots of great stuff going on here. Just checking my notes, she's got the Yojo fists in there. Great to see those. The ponytail articulation. Lenny talked about the fact that there's two ponytails. They articulate at the joint in the base of the head there, but there's a second ponytail included so that you can swivel it and rest it on the top of the backpack when she's wearing the backpack. Loads of weaponry, and they put trick arrows in to reflect her character's use of trick arrows in the cartoon, which is another great look. It's reused weaponry. I'm certainly less aggrieved when the reused weaponry is the classic look kind of M16 rifle and the old school OG cartoon laser rifle. So I'm actually really quite happy with the reused weapon here. It's great to see the stands. I think G.I. Joe Classified should just come with stands as standard, not just with the retro line, but they're certainly super useful. She looks good, great head sculpt. What more is there to say? This is a solid figure, and if it's realised in fully three-dimensional plastic form as this digital render looks, then it's going to be an absolute banger. Really pleased to see this one being added to the line. I'm very excited to finally have a Scarlet in the collection. Continuing on then with the retro cardback reveals, they gave us Duke. Oh, look at this dude. Whole new sculpt with Duke. Absolutely blown away by this one. I'm really happy. I know some folks are kind of on the fence with it or even not so happy with it. But again, I don't own a Duke. I've never picked one up. I missed it the first time around, and then the kind of secondary market prices were just too high for me to feel like I could pick him up. And like Scarlet, I was a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about the design there. I'm not as into it, whereas I'm definitely into this guy. I think the more jacked look that they talked about on the stream is a good way to go, making much more the kind of real American hero vibe. Got the classic look helmet, got the classic look laser rifle from the cartoon. Yojo pumping fists, absolutely, yeah, it's all there. They were talking about this painted on quote on the back of the shovel there, so I don't know if you can see it in my little miniature display box up here, but yeah, wherever there's trouble, G.I. Joe is there or something like that, they mentioned. And I don't know, it's kind of cute, but I'm not as into that. But it's the same kind of backpack shovel design as is on Airborne that I mentioned earlier. So I don't know, is that removable? I'm not sure. It is kind of squinting and leaning in close to the monitor to look at it. But yeah, I'm really into this one. I'm really keen on the retro style with a little bit of an update, and this guy is all over it. I like that diaphragm cut. That looks better than the previous diaphragm cut as well. So yeah, all in on this one. Head sculpt looks great. All American, good looking, square jawed boy, that, isn't it? You know what I mean? Just, it's got everything you want with a Duke. I don't know. You may disagree, and of course, let me know in the comments down below if you do. But yeah, I'm into this one. This will be yet another pre-order. Then, third and finally, in the retro cardback line, they showed us the retro Recondo, which is cool, which is fine. Again, no surprise here. I don't think anyone was surprised. They obviously front-loaded the Tiger Force edition of the character, but we all knew at that time, everyone was saying, oh, well, they'll have a classic look Recondo on the way, no doubt. And here he is. I'm going to skip it. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't buy duplicates. I try not to buy duplicates wherever possible. And I have to be honest, I actually kind of prefer the look of the Tiger Force one to this classic retro version of the character. I mean, he is exactly the same, other than the paint design on the uniform and the colour of the weapons and hat and stuff. So I'm going to skip this one. But if you missed Tiger Force because you were hanging on and waiting for a more classic look one, then yeah, this is your guy. But yeah, I'm kind of into the Tiger Force one, I think. And I don't like doubling up on characters. I try to avoid that wherever possible. So no complaints. No, not a bad word. And if you go back and have a look at my Recondo review, I love the figure. I think it's a great sculpt, really loads of playability. Lots of fun, other than the wibbly wobbly gun, which I suspect this one will have too. But yeah, I'm not into doubling up. So there you go. And folks, you'd think they'd be done there, but they were not done there, because so we had some mainline digital render reveals, we had some retro cardback digital render reveals, and then they went on to tell us about a new subline, which is called the 60th Anniversary Celebration. So they did the 40th anniversary in terms of a real American hero, the kind of modern 80s version onwards, but they are celebrating next year 60 years overall of G.I. Joe and acknowledging the existence, of the OG 12-inch, I was about to say dolls, but we're not allowed to say dolls, are you? I've seen the documentary, I know. And in order to commemorate that, they revealed two new characters, army builder characters, and the first of which was this guy here, who they said is their interpretation of the action soldier, but Lenny referred to him as the rifleman. So, whatever, cool. I prefer the name rifleman, so I'm probably going to refer to it as rifleman from here on in. And I mean, just look at this. Look at how much stuff is going on here. This is an outstanding package. It's just a good, solid Joe army builder. I mean, what more is there to say with regards to the actual figure itself? But tons going on to really take it to the next level. That big overcoat, raincoat piece there is soft goods. They mentioned that. And so you can see all the kind of different hoods and like rolled down hood and a hood over the head and stuff, and they were saying that this was all there in order to accommodate different setups, if you've got the soft goods cloak on, if you haven't got it on, so on and so forth. Lenny also mentioned that in his body armor there, all the pouches and stuff are customizable, like you can tactical, if you will, they said on the stream, so you can remove them and stuff. I'm not quite sure what that looks and feels like in terms of implementation. There was no further talk of it in that respect, but that's a curious element and one that I'm definitely interested in taking a closer look at. They also mentioned that massive 50 caliber there has storage on the backpack, got the swappable hands in there. The gun selection is reuse of Big Ben's. I'm not sure that was the best idea, really. The big machine gun's okay, but that little double-barreled submachine gun thing I found myself using it, well, not at all, frankly. Big backpack, belt loader into the big 50 cal, got the foot stand, that's there's a lot going on here that I think really sets this figure apart from the crowd. I'd be curious to know the price. and what they're going to be charging for all that extra goodies, whether it's deluxe or even higher than that. But yeah, really awesome figure, and very, very impressed with what I'm seeing there. I'll likely only pick up one, because I just like to have one for the collection. But I know this will appeal to the army builders a great deal. I've already seen a few out and about. Really, really excited by this. So yeah, well done, Lenny and team. This is looking fantastic. And in that same vein, for the 60th anniversary celebration, they also revealed this guy here, the Action Sailor, to use the classic name, but they referred to it as the Recon Diver. And again, just look at there's so much going on here. It's obviously reuse of torpedo. I say obviously, torpedo or the Cobra eel, and that's fine. Solid army builder. You know, if you like me want to get some James Bond underwater scuba battle reenactments going on with your figures, then this is going to be the way to do it. Absolutely. So looks great. Tons of fantastic accessories in there. The rebreathers, the inflatable stuff, the flippers. There's like a little a motorized. I was going to say jetpack, but what would it be called under the water? I've just had a total brain fart. Propellers. They're called propellers. Propulsion. Like a little propulsion backpack thing. Is that right? I don't know. There's like a word I'm striving for that I've forgotten. So let me know in the comments down below what the word is that I'm trying to find in my head right now. But in any case, loads going on there. Tons. They mentioned the goggles are clear as well. Cool little fine detail touch. I think that's good. I'm not really into the divers, particularly. Shipwreck's about as nautical as I've gone with the vibes in my G.I. Joe collection. And maybe the swampy folks, like Dreadnoks and Copperhead, so I'll probably skip this one. Not that to be very clear, this is just a kind of aesthetic decision that with my collection I've decided not to kind of put folks wearing flippers on my shelf. So I'll skip torpedo, I'll skip the eels, and I'll probably skip this guy too. But that's not in any way a reflection of what I think is going to be like. I think it's probably an excellent collection of figure and accessories with lots of playability factor. I'm just not doing the watery stuff, folks. That's all. I just made a decision. There's got to be something that relieves Mr. Wallet. You know what I mean? We've already seen him crying earlier on in the video, so that's the way that goes, But it still looks like a fantastic package. So there you go. If you are fans of the divers, of the nautical folks, then this is the one for you. And that's it, folks. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm not going to move on to talk about the in-hand reveals, but they weren't done. They weren't done there, because they then went on to give in-hand demonstrations and diorama photography examples of the pre-order figures that were being made available that day, which was Ripper, General Hawk, Helix, Shockwave, Buzzer, and the Crimson leadership team triple pack thing. I've already discussed most all of those when they were revealed as digital renders, but let me know in the comments down below if you want me to talk about that section of the stream. But if you're a patient sort, to be frank, I've out of those 6, I've pre-ordered 5 of them, so they'll be reviewed on the channel in time if you're willing to wait. But I'm very conscious of how long this video has gone for now. So get down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. What was your standout? Is there a name-only reveal that's got you all giddy and excited? Is there a digital render that stood out to you? You thought, oh my God, that is the figure for me. Or is there something you're disappointed about? Is there something you're like, I don't know. How do you feel about the 60th anniversary package? How do you feel about the return of the retro cardback line? I want to hear it all from you folks. I'm always really interested to get into conversation with those of you who choose to come along and comment, so please do. Otherwise, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, send me mega bucks, millions of pounds through the super thanks, because I obviously deserve it just on the basis of my beard and moustache work alone, because that's very classified in tone. No, seriously, subscribe, because it's got great bragging rights. You can tell all your mates, they'll be like, you're subscribed to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's an absolute point of prestige. God damn it, I'm going to figure out how to finish these off properly one day with a nice little bit of spiel to convince you to subscribe and carry on coming back for more. But in the meantime, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with me. If you've been here this long, got to the end, then you are an absolute gem, and I'm grateful for your time. And I'll see you again sometime soon for an action figure review, more thoughts on collecting, maybe some trading card stuff. I've not done any trading card stuff for a while, or some comic book stuff. Who knows? But if you're a big man-child nerd like me who worships at the broad church of nerddom, then this is probably the channel for you. So take it easy, folks, and I'll see you again soon.